just quick message to our audience out there. Please remember to like, share, follow, and subscribe. It really helps our content reach more people, and it adds to our algorithm. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of On Patrol with the Suffolk County PBA. I'm CJ Hutter, the treasurer of the PBA.
I'm Tanner Brandemar, the sergeant at arms of the PBA.
And today we're excited to have Miguel VS and Vickie Singh on with us. Miguel VS is the second vice president of the PBA, and Vickie Singh is the first precinct trustee of the PBA. And they both share our peer team. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So for everybody out there watching, tell us a little bit about yourselves, your work history, your career path into the PBA. What kind of got you involved in helping our members?
I'll let you go.
So I started as a police officer in the NYPD. I took the test out here and I transferred in 2007. I've been in the first precinct ever since. I just enjoy what I do. The union has always been, I think, where I belong. I enjoy standing up for our guys and what they deserve and what their rights are.
Yeah, and the first precinct is a very big precinct, so you work with a lot of our members there, and it says a lot about you that you're who they choose to be their representative in the building.
Yeah, thanks. I think so. They like me, so we're doing good so far.
Yeah. And Miguel, you started off in the city too?
Yes, I started off in the NYPD as well. I became a delegate in the city because I enjoyed the union work. I was lucky enough to score well here and come out to Suffolk County. Early in my career, I took the delegate spot for my squad in the 3rd precinct. I moved on to trustee of the 3rd. I was lucky enough to be asked to come into the office. I became the financial secretary, and now I ended up as the 2nd precinct, the 2nd VP now.
So, all 4 of us started off in the NYPD. Our careers eventually took us out here to the county. You and I both have experience as PBA delegates in the city as well. Did you always have a passion for just helping your peers and being there for coworkers, maybe people you grew up with, friends? Did you always have that passion to try to help people around you?
Absolutely. And I think everyone who, for the most part, everyone who gets involved in the union work has that desire to want to help and want to better people's lives. You don't take this job just to sit around and do nothing. You take it to be proactive and make sure that the men and women that work for us or with us, their rights and their benefits and their pay is increased just like anything else. We want to do better. We want to continue to do better for the next generation.
Right. And, I think it goes along with people who want to become police officers, right? A lot of people become police officers because they want to help their communities, help people around them. And then we have that added drive and desire to help those people around us within that workplace. So, I thank both of you for choosing this as a career path because you're both assets to the PBA. I know Miguel is a guy that I've learned a lot from and lean on through, to get advice from his experience and time. Vickie's become somebody who hit the ground running when she became the first precinct trustee, replacing Chris Wolf, who also does a great job now in Albany. So it's great to be able to work with people like you.
Thank you.
So one of the things that we really highlight often on this show is peer support and mental health within police work. And the two of you now chair the PBA's peer team. So Vickie, why don't you tell us a little bit about the peer team and what got you involved with the peer?
So I actually joined the PBA's peer team when I was not a delegate or a trustee. I became a peer support officer, a PSO. So that has always been something that interests me. I enjoy helping. I enjoy when people come to me to talk to me and see how we can make things better and the situation better. So when I joined the peer team, that was something that I was very excited about. We basically, at that time, what we were doing was we have a helpline, a 24-hour manned helpline that our officers can call if they need any sort of assistance at all. So in the beginning, that's what I did. When I became a trustee, I was given the opportunity to become one of the chairs of this team. And we've kind of expanded it and grown it a little bit more to encompass a few more things in which we can help our officers.
Was there a specific event maybe that you went through? I know you started in the city, obviously, and out here, I'm sure. Was it a culmination of watching police officers go through some struggles that kind of led you this way? Or was it just one event or?
So I struggled a lot myself, and it's nice to take my own experiences and help others. I think my whole life I've always been somebody who's been there to help others. So it just it was an easy transition to do that for this team.
Do you feel that, like, since there's been things we've all gone through and we've all dealt with difficult periods in our lives. Is it therapeutic in a way for you to help other people and your peers?
Yeah, I would say so. My family always laughs at me and says that that's what I do for fun, help others. I have no other hobbies other than helping others. So.
That's a great hobby to have. You know?
It is, and it's a great purpose to have in life as well, right? I mean, when you're here helping others, you're making a difference in other people's lives. To me, there's no greater good than that.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like you're very relatable too. And just to add what CJ said, like I appreciate the fact that you're being honest and telling our audience that you went through some struggles and that kind of led you to kind of want to help other people. I think a lot of cops are afraid to admit that they have some struggles going on. And it's nice to have somebody that maybe they can relate to and talk to.
Oh, yeah. I'm very open and honest with anybody who comes to me about my own struggles. I think you can't help somebody if you're shielding your own battles, you know?
Yeah.
You got to be open and honest.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And the phrase "stop the stigma" has come up a lot lately, and especially in police work, it's an alpha job. It's an alpha line of work, and a lot of times people want to stay shielded. They don't want to show what they might think people will perceive as weakness. But in reality, it is healthy to talk about stuff you're going through. It is normal to be going through difficult periods of time and struggle with things internally. It's normal. We've all been through those times. So I think it's important that we all recognize that there's a value to being able to reach out to peers and talk to people and get through those difficult times together. You don't always have to be doing it on your own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely I think it's a strength if you can reach out and ask for help as opposed to a weakness. It's probably one of the hardest things to openly say, I need help and I'm struggling. And I think it's a strength that people have when they can do that as opposed to a weakness.
Yeah, I agree. So what are some of the things we've been doing to help stop that stigma and reach out to the other members? I know, Miguel, you had mentioned going to precincts and speaking at inspections to the members out in the precincts.
Yes, thankfully we were able to jointly with the department go to each and every inspection in every command and every precinct, just to remind the men and women out there that we have a peer team. Our peer team is very unique in the fact that the union runs the team. We work very closely with the department, but we are completely separate from the department. We have a tremendous amount of resources, and we want to make sure as we speak to these different commands that they're aware of the resources. And the resources are not just for the member. The resources extend to the families that are on their health plan as well. So if they have a spouse, the children, if some people may have a parent on their health plan, these programs are open to all of those as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to make too, that these programs are open to our spouses and children. We've gone to the legislature several times and spoken about, mental health issues. And there was a time where Jason Richburg actually mentioned to us that whenever we work something out to help the mental health of police officers, don't forget about the families. Don't forget about the home structure and trying to do whatever you can to make home life as healthy as possible as well, because that's going to help us when we're at work.
Absolutely. You got to remember, we go out there every single day and we answer 911 calls. And what people don't realize is some of these calls can be extremely traumatic. Mm-hmm. On average, during a career of a police officer, you're seeing almost 200 extremely traumatic calls. So if you don't have an open relationship with your family, or if you keep everything bottled in and your family life is going south, you have to be able to bring that family in and have either a counseling session together or one-on-one. The spouse, if you're not open with them because you're trying to shield them from what you saw or experienced, the spouse feels neglected. So you want to show that this isn't done purposely, but there has to be an avenue for the people to go and speak and open up.
Yeah, it's incredible how many critical incidents police officers have to respond to throughout a career. Like you use the number 200. Figure a 20-year career on average throughout the country. That's 10 critical incidents a year, right? And most people maybe only deal with 2 in their entire life.
Correct. And as part of the peer team, one thing we do is when we're notified of a critical incident that happens in any particular precinct or command, we get the names of those involved, from the police officers to the supervisors on scene, and we make sure that we what's called a touch. We reach out to that person and make sure that what they saw, if they're okay with it. Some people may want to, seek alternative help after. Some people, can manage, but we make sure we try our best to try to reach out to these people who've seen these horrific scenes to make sure that they're okay.
I find that so valuable. You're reaching out to them without them having to come to you. So you kind of take the pressure off them as well. If they're going through something or if they're going to go through something, you've already reached out to them, and then they probably feel more comfortable reaching out to you if they need help.
Yes. And recently, Vickie and I started a retirement peer team as well. So we had a ton of retirees actually volunteer to become peer support officers. And that's mainly started for the transition of, being an active duty police officer to being a retired police officer. The men and women in this department stay here 20, 30 years. And that's, half of your life that you spent doing this job. So when you retire, naturally the phone calls and the camaraderie slows down quite a bit. And some people find that hard to adjust. So we had the retirees reach out to these people to make sure that they're okay and make sure that they don't need any services, that they're not forgotten about. Because after you dedicate the majority of your life to this job, you don't want it to be for nothing.
This job is a lifestyle too. It's not just like a lot of people go to work, they check in, they check out. I feel like there's much more encompassing this job of like you're saying, people aren't reaching out to you. You're a part of a squad when you're working patrol. You go to different units, you make friends, and then you kind of, when you step away from the job, a lot of people, like you said, lose contact, and they're not getting reached out to, and they're not talking about the things that they're so used to talking about and going through.
Correct. So every year we try to figure out something new to add. We were able to team up with the Warrior Ranch that does the equine therapy. Vickie and I were able to attend one of their sessions, which was therapeutic in a sense. Naturally, I was skeptical. I was like, what's a horse going to do for me? And when you get there, they explain what you're going to do, how it's going to happen, everything else, what the horse feels. And when you're there, it truly does bring your stress level down. All of us work hard at what we do, and, our stress levels can be high. But when you get there, you forget about everything else, and you concentrate more on the horse and what the horse is doing. So I think that's a benefit to our members. We've had several members go out there. We've had several members enjoy so much that they became volunteers as well. One of our retired co-chairs from Pier, Larry Ortolani, is a board member for Warrior Ranch currently. And although he retired, he never stopped working. He never stopped working for the union. He never stopped working for Pier.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring up Larry. Larry's a former guest on this show. He came on to talk about the Warrior Ranch. It is one of those things where, like you, I was kind of skeptical about it at first too, when I first started hearing about it. But all I've heard is great reviews from the people that are involved, from anybody who's tried to utilize that service. We've had several members and their families approach me and talk to me about it after they saw our episode with Larry Ortolani about the Warrior Ranch. So it's another great tool that our peer team has been able to help provide and make available to our members. And what I've loved seeing over the course of my career, I started in the NYPD in 2007. And over the course of the past 19 years, the proactive approach that our peer team is taking, I love seeing that evolution occurring, because it used to be, you were, like Tanner put it, you were almost relying on somebody to reach out to you. Now we're being proactive and we're reaching out to them when we know they dealt with something that's critical. We're making sure that our members know that services like the Warrior Ranch are out there that might be able to help them. I think we're doing a good job of being proactive and educating our members about what the tools are that are available to them.
Absolutely. And we're always looking to increase. We've done a yoga session for wellness. So Dan Goldfarb, who heads our clinician unit, he's been doing this for over 37 years. So although he's never been a cop, he's been doing it so long. He knows all the lingo. He knows 10 codes. He knows, he could almost tell you how it feels to be a police officer. He's helped a tremendous amount of people and their families. So just having him, we have 3 different centers that we use for alcohol and addiction, because again, we're human beings. So sometimes we run into bad times, and we too turn and either drink or addicted to prescription drugs and things of that nature. So we have 3 separate units that have a first responder program only, and we have from in Suffolk County to 2 different states that we use. So there's different resources depending on the person and what would fit best, whether it be inpatient, outpatient, equine therapy. We're always looking to add and always looking to push forward just so the person can feel comfortable getting the help that they need.
Yeah. So, exercise is obviously a great way to maintain mental health. I know a lot of people exercise because their physical health helps lead to their mental health being just as healthy. And yoga is one of those things you always hear about, right? It's peaceful, it's calming. You kind of get, your mind kind of gets focused on what you're doing at that time and doesn't wander into the things that are bothering you. So I remember when you guys had set up that yoga session, and I think Vickie got you to promise to wear yoga pants, and you didn't follow through on that promise, right?
No. She said she was going to get me yoga pants with the peer logo stenciled on it. So I agreed. I said, if you can do it, I will wear the yoga pants. She did not pull through, so thankfully I didn't have to wear yoga pants.
So Vickie, when's the next yoga session going to be then? Because you got to...
Supposedly soon. I think they were trying to plan another one. So, yeah, we're going to make it happen.
I promised for one. I didn't say that moving forward I would wear it.
That's all right. We can change the one to the future.
So as we start using these new approaches, right, like yoga classes, or like we've done barbecues for the peer team, have you seen attendance rise as we do the second, third, fourth time at one of these new sorts of events? Or, what's the attendance been like? The participation?
You do. And actually, whenever you have the first one of anything, it's not, I wouldn't say lightly attended, but it's not attended as well as you'd like. But as word of mouth goes around, then people start inquiring, when's the next one? I'd like to attend. I didn't hear about it. And that's in part to who goes to the first event as well. Our current chief of detectives, Sean Barron, he went to the first yoga thing. And Sean, you did great.
Was he wearing yoga pants?
He was not wearing yoga pants. And I attended as well, and it gives you a respect for the exercise, I should say, as you're not doing a whole lot of movement, but somehow your body's sweating.
Yeah.
But again, as you said, you get into the movements and you're watching the instructor and what the instructor's doing, and you forget about everything that's bothering you. So it does help with your wellness.
So with the peer team specifically, because I know you've worked with it for a number of years now, we talk very often about the partnership we have with the department and the current administration in the county. Have you seen that willingness from this administration, like, Chief Barron attending a yoga class? Have you seen participation from this administration making it easier to improve the peer team?
Absolutely. The commissioner, the deputy commissioners have been all in. They have been very cooperative with whatever we needed, whether it be training, whether it be innovative ideas. They pitched something to me not long ago about wellness that they'd like to introduce. So we do work well together, and we are always looking at, as I said, looking to add and make the peer team better.
Yeah, that's great. So, we've seen it with the department now introducing a therapy dog, right? Hamilton with his handler, George Politis, great cop, a former delegate of ours, so he's made a career out of helping police officers. And now he's the handler of Hamilton, the new therapy dog. What was the process like getting, something like that moving within the department?
Yeah. It was, I don't want to say a heavy lift, but it wasn't a very smooth transition, naturally, because there is a lot involved in adding anything to this department. With the therapy dog, you had to have a handler, and naturally you run into issues such as compensation and contractual rights and things of that nature.
Right,
so,
it's a balancing act.
Again, I give credit to the commissioner who pushed hard for this. This was something that he truly wanted and thought it would benefit the department. And as you see, George and Hamilton have been everywhere. And when Hamilton's on scene. Sorry, George, we're not here for you. People enjoy seeing the dog. People enjoy going to pet the dog and forgetting about what kind of scene they're on. So it's nice to have that therapy dog on these critical scenes.
Yeah. Now, Vickie, earlier on, you had mentioned becoming a PSO, a peer support officer, before you were even a PBA delegate. What's the process like to become a peer support officer if we have members out there that want to get involved with the peer team?
So contacting a member from the peer team will end up sending you an application. The application's simple, a few questions about where you're at, your career's been, and your reasons for wanting to help. After you fill out your application, we usually set up an interview with a few members of the team. We have a conversation, and as long as your needs meet our needs and we can make everything work, it's pretty seamless. Then we like to have everybody go through a training. Just because being on that hotline, that 24-hour hotline, can be stressful because you never know the kind of calls you're going to get. We like everybody to go through a training where we offer them some skills and make sure they understand the support the peer team has in dealing with our officers. So we go through that training, and then that's it. You're on the team, and we get you running.
So what's that training like? Is it almost like scenario-based phone calls, or like how would you respond if a member tells you they're struggling with alcohol? How would you respond if a member tells you they're struggling with suicidal thoughts? Is it like scenario-based phone calls, or what's the training like?
So the training is, unfortunately, it's usually only one day. So we try to squeeze a lot in one day. We definitely would like to broaden our training to a few days because it's hard. We need to spend part of the training on the logistics of it, what the actual being on the schedule for the call line, the helpline looks like, how to retrieve messages, how to make your phone calls back, the structure of who you can contact when you need help, the resources we have available takes time to go through so that our guys are well versed in explaining to our members the resources available to them. And then we like to take time to teach our guys a skill, whether it's dealing with somebody who's struggling with alcohol, or it's dealing with somebody who's having increased stress or depression, or it's somebody who's actually feeling suicidal at that time, or dealing with somebody who's struggling with the dynamic of their own family and financial situations. You know, there's so many different things you want to kind of be able to. We're not the counselor, but we're that intermediary step. So we need to have a fine balance of being able to help people through the immediate stress of the situation and move them on to the resource, the actual professional, who deals with setting up further treatment for them. So we try and kind of mix in a few different things with scenarios involved as well, but it's more of just talking and going through our different resources and different skills we can teach them, and we keep building upon those skills. But it's hard with only 8 hours.
Is there a follow-up after, if you have somebody call and they reach out and they're looking for some type of service, or they have some kind of conflict going on, and then one of the peer counselors speaks to them, and then after that phone call, like a week later or so, do you guys touch back with them, or? Yeah,
we like to, yes. We usually, so if somebody happens to call the peer line, we set them up, we speak with them, we see how we can help them, we set them up with resources, and we also ask, are you okay if we call you back? And it's usually the same person you speak to. We try to keep that continuality and the friendship and the friendliness with the person they spoke to on the phone. All of our PSOs are amazing humans. I mean, they are in this to help people. So they're more than willing to do the follow-ups. Half the times, too, these guys aren't just following up once. They're following up repeatedly. Mm-hmm. How are you doing? How's things? What's going on? Anything we can help you with going further? And then the more and more we're doing that, even with the reaching out on the critical incidents things, you're finding more and more people are just walking up to our guys and saying, hey, what's this? My son's struggling with this. What do you guys have with that? Or, me and my wife, maybe we could use some counseling. Do you have anything with that? Or, oh, my friend is having this problem. That's the other thing with our peer team. You don't have to call yourself. If you see your friend struggling, you call us and say, hey, listen, so-and-so is having a hard time. I don't know what to do. How can I help them? We're so willing to just breach the uncomfortable subject and say, hey, how can we help? Somebody cares. They reached out to us. We'd like to know that these things are available if you want them. If not, that's completely okay too. You're an adult. Make your decisions, but we're here if you need.
Right. So I 100% see the value in speaking to peers, people that work in the same line of work, same job, because sometimes job to job, like we all have prior city experience, some of the jargon is different. So if you're venting about something at work or talking about something work related, things could get misinterpreted or misconstrued if you're talking to somebody from another job. But have you run into our members who would feel more comfortable talking to somebody from a different job, somebody who doesn't have that same connection or the same circle of friends or peers around them, somebody that understands the stresses of police work, but maybe somebody they'll never actually meet or run into, down the road?
So I personally haven't come into that yet, where they'd want to speak to a different department member. But I think if that did come up, we would have the ability to facilitate that. I mean, I have people in Florida reaching out. Our retired team is super cool. We actually ended up sending out letters to all of our retired guys on top of the reaching out to retired guys 6 months after they retire. We sent out letters to the entire department who's retired. And that was such a cool thing. I started to get phone calls like, hey, I'm in Florida. What can I do? Anybody in Florida need help? I think I had somebody from Tennessee call me. Anybody in Tennessee need help? So I think it's something we could handle, but not something I've personally handled at this point.
Yeah, I think that's great. Because the retirees, that's something that, I get for a very long time, wasn't necessarily addressed. And again, it goes back to my point a few minutes ago where we're proactive and trying to develop this team even further and, trying to figure out what can we improve on. So I love the aspect of now including the retirees in all this.
Yeah, that's an aspect we added, but also somebody reaches out for an illness. We have team members, whether it be a peer support, also somebody from the co-chair, one of us will know someone that unfortunately has experienced that illness, and we can put them in contact with that person. It's easier to speak to somebody. I had colon cancer, so I would rather speak to somebody who's been through that and had the colon cancer and had the surgery. Although the peer support officer reach out is nice, it's nice to bounce questions back and forth. What to expect. Where do I go from here? Is it treatable? Things of that nature. So we've had breast cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, and we've thankfully and unfortunately at the same time have had that resource or that person available to speak to that person. So especially even with critical incidents, we try to match up that's with somebody who's been through a similar incident as well. So they have that commonality to speak about.
Yeah, so I'm glad you bring up your personal experience with the cancer that you had to go through. But I'm happy to say that you are right now clear of any cancer, right? You've been going for your checkups.
Yes, knock on wood. I was actually I did my yearly colonoscopy yesterday, which so far has all come out clean, naturally, and I still go through 6-month checkups to make sure that nothing returns.
So, and with that, with the cancer that you've dealt with, that was 9/11 related cancer.
Yes, that was 9/11 related cancer. I was one of the first responders, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, how many of, obviously being out here in Suffolk County, a lot of our members are former city cops. How many of our members, and, be as vague or specific as you feel comfortable, reach out to you specifically because of maybe 9/11 related illnesses they're dealing with?
There have been a few because naturally you don't expect it. This is something that you're going to get. It just happens. So some of us weren't registered, or some of us are registered now, don't know what to do, don't know where to turn to, which avenue to take. So you have to have everything lined up and ready to go. God forbid you are given that awful news. So you want to be able to put the paperwork and things of that nature to the side and actually get the treatment that you need. So there have been a few, and unfortunately, we've had quite a few pass away from the illness as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's one of those things where I don't think the general public realizes how many of our active members are still dealing with the effects of 9/11, the health effects of 9/11. Because I feel like it's almost once a year where I hear of somebody, probably actually even more often than once a year, I hear of somebody I know getting diagnosed with something 9/11 related.
Unfortunately, yes. And it seems that they keep finding more illnesses related to the air quality from that day. And depending on the duration, location where you were, and things of that nature. So as the research goes on, I'm sure they'll unfortunately find more.
Right. And like you said, a lot of the benefits afforded to the 9/11 first responders are actually federally funded as well. And Congress, I think led by Andrew Garbarino, just recently approved funding for decades further into the future. I forget what year it's funded through now, but at least there'll be those resources available to our responders who maybe they were a 21, 22-year-old rookie cop on 9/11, and maybe now they are getting diagnosed with cancers that are associated with their response to 9/11, because they're getting diagnosed with things that wouldn't typically be diagnosed for somebody in their mid-40s now at this point. So they do attribute it to 9/11. And hopefully, God willing, they live another 40, 50 years. So at least the funding is going to be there for decades into the future for the treatments they might need.
Yes, and the World Trade Center program, you go once a year for yearly checkups. Naturally, they do exams that are specific and look for certain cancers. Something you normally wouldn't do if you go to your yearly checkup. So that's a benefit to have and gives you peace of mind as well.
Right. So, and, like we said, a lot of the funding comes from government grants, government bills that have to get passed into budgets. But we've had a lot of push here in New York State as well to help our peer teams. Just recently, Senator James Skoufis sponsored a bill, the Lieutenant Joe Banish bill. It was going to help our peer support groups here in New York State. A lot of our local electeds helped co-sponsor those bills, right? Yeah. Monica Martinez, Dean Murray, Steve Rhodes, a lot of our locals. And then on the assembly side, I think Judy Griffin,
she's the sponsor, and then Steve Stearns, one of the co-sponsors, Kwani O'Farrell, I think Jared Gandolfo, Mike Durso, Keith Brown were all involved in getting that bill done.
Right. So it shows the importance of the local communication with our local elected officials on, like, this is something that's important to our members, stuff that's going to help our members with the mental health issues that we face. So
it was also bipartisanly endorsed, basically. So on both sides came together and got this done, and it was important to get this done.
Right. So basically what I'm getting at is, this is becoming at the forefront of not just our concern, but the forefront of news cycles and the forefront of political policy that wants to get pushed forward to help our members, which I think is great to feel that support from the local electeds.
No, it's good to have buy-in from your local government as well as the department that you work for. If you look in this day and age of policing, is a lot of technology involved. You have these young men and women now that have to put on a body cam, and their every action, whether they take or don't take, is going to be micromanaged. So that's an added stress that these newer police officers have on this job, where if something goes awry, the second and a half that they made that decision will be now looked at for hours.
Mm-hmm. The public scrutiny, like the same thing with social media, this has gone bigger and bigger. And I think that having these avenues for guys to get help and be like evolving the programs that we have to fit their needs, I think we're very innovative on that.
We try.
And so, the Lieutenant Joe Banish bill, it adds a peer privilege to the police officers that are acting in the peer capacity to help our officers who are battling with mental health issues. So, I'm going to be excited to see how that peer privilege gets put into practice going into the future, because this is something that's brand new. So we got to kind of see how on paper translates into reality and practice still. So, one of the things I definitely want to talk about, and one of the people I want to highlight, and you already brought him up, Dr. Dan Goldfarb. This is a guy who's spent decades helping police officers, not a cop himself, but as you said, he speaks the language. He's built his practice around helping cops, and he's done so much good work over the years that just recently, a year or two ago, we actually honored Dr. Dan Goldfarb with our annual Bill Lindsay Award at our Silver Shield dinners.
Yes, as you said, Dan's been and his team. Dan has an extensive team as well. We have a relationship and a contract with him where he sees our members and our members' families, and he's been doing this for over 3 decades now. He loves what he does. He is very passionate what he does, and when he takes in a new practitioner, he doesn't just have that person sit and start seeing our members. He has a program where he trains them and shows them how he wants it done. And the program's a year long. So before this person even sees one of our members or one of our members' families, they've gone through a year of training under Dan Goldfarb, and that's not including the schools that this practitioner has gone through.
Yeah, so, Dr. Dan's a great tool to have. I hear from members all the time that have utilized his services, how much of a help he's been to get them through difficult times. But I also want to bring up Reverend Mike Stanek, right? We have Reverend Mike Stanek around all the time. He comes to all our open meetings. He interacts with our members regularly. He's the chief chaplain of the department. But I feel like, and again, it goes along with that open line of communication and that teamwork we have with the current administration. How much interaction or communication do you have with the current chaplains when they're helping with a member getting through a critical incident?
I know I have personally used Reverend Stanek quite often because naturally some incidents may not require that peer touch. Some incidents may require some sort of religious touch. We have in this department, we have several different denominations of religious leaders that work for the department. And it's nice to have either Reverend Stanek or one of the other chaplains reach out to the person and see if faith will help the person as well, especially with a loss of life and things of that nature. We want to have Mike Stanek reach out or one of the chaplains reach out to that person. So
do we have, how many members of the peer team are there right now?
So we have about 30 peer support officers. We have
that's a lot.
Team captains, and then Miguel and I. And then, we also include in our team Dr. Goldfarb, his services. The chaplains are part of our team as well. We have all these resources that we pull together.
What do the team captains do?
So the team captains, when we basically we take our team of 30 people, which fluctuates, and they're broken down into 3 groups, and our captains help facilitate telling their teams when notifications need to be made, which members to contact. This is a critical incident. Oh, there was a critical incident over here. We've actually had our members respond very few handful of times to the actual scene of a critical incident. If something's super, super bad and tough to kind of process, we've had members of our team respond there. We've had members of our team respond to precincts after the fact, after the incident, to speak at inspections and stuff. So the captains help coordinate all of the members of the team to kind of help keep everybody together, keep everybody moving, check in on our team as well to make sure they're doing okay, because it's a lot as well.
A lot of logistics to this, yeah.
Yeah, and then when Vickie just mentioned it, brought something up in my head, we also reach out to, we have, each team is scheduled to do call-ups for people who are out long-term sick or long-term injured. One thing we heard back was, you do this job, you get hurt on this job, you sustain an injury that has you sidelined for 6, 8, 9 months. Nobody calls you anymore, or very few call you. So we make sure that our team reaches out to that person just to make sure that they're all right, make sure that there's no need for anything, and just to say hello.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too. And I remember when Larry Ortolani was still here, he had brought up that, yeah, there is a peer team. The peer team maybe gets another level of training that not every PBA representative gets, or that every police officer gets. But in reality, we're all peer officers. We're all here to help each other. And, as a precinct trustee, even if you're not on the peer committee, or a delegate, even if you're not on the peer committee, you're already people that have been proven to be respected throughout your commands. You're already people who have, it's shown that the members trust you to look out for their well-being. So even though there's maybe only 30 official members of the peer committee, we have hundreds of members out there that could help this peer process and this peer mission.
No, because you got to remember, if you work alongside these people every day, so only you can tell me is Tanner off today? Tanner's normally happy, go lucky, and all of a sudden for the past 3 days he's shut down. He's keeps to himself. So, those reach outs are what we count on when people from their own squads realize that something's off with the member. So we can do the reach out to see if that member needs any assistance.
Yeah, and when I was still a 7th precinct trustee, when we used to take the new recruits out, we take them out, give them their commands, kind of explain to them a little bit about how each precinct works. You meet your trustee, meet some of the delegates maybe. When I would meet the new cops assigned to the 7th precinct, I always used to brag about the culture, not only on this job, but in the precinct specifically. We have sport teams in the precinct. The 7th Precinct Brotherhood holds several events throughout the year, fishing trip, a family picnic. There's usually a family Christmas party, a paintball event. So I told them, I used to preach to the rookies, embrace the culture, embrace the lifestyle, because when you feel like you're part of this team and this blue family, it can help you cope with a lot of the negativity you're going to deal with throughout your career. A lot of those critical incidents you're going to deal with, you'll have that team, that support system around you.
And you have somebody to vent to.
Right.
You can rely on that senior cop who maybe has gone through the same struggle, who's gone through that same incident. Unfortunately, we see the worst of the worst. People don't call 911 to invite you to a birthday party. They call when something's gone awry. Mm-hmm. So in order to have somebody next to you to vent to or speak to, that it's always a benefit.
So, I love the forward thinking we're doing. I love how we're evolving with the times and creating new programs and new pieces of the peer team to help our members. Is there anything that you're already currently thinking of that you're hoping to maybe put in place in the near future?
There's a lot that we're looking into. I don't want to say specifically what, because if it doesn't come to fruition, then I don't want to tease anybody. But We're always constantly looking at different companies and different avenues and different ways that we can always improve and add resources to our group. Thankfully, we have a ton, but it's never enough. If we can save a life, if we can help a life, if we can help a family, we'll do anything and everything that we can. It's nice to be a union-run team. The Detectives Association, the superior officers, they have their own teams as well. We work hand in hand with them as well. We help with the notifications and things of that nature. So we are always bouncing ideas off of each other. What can we do to help better our members and their families? So Vickie and I are always doing research, or always sitting down with different companies that offer different therapies and things of that nature. But we're also very picky on what we accept because we want it law enforcement specific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when a member applies to be a PSO, are there any disqualifying factors immediately? Because if a member's applying, I would like to think their heart's in the right place. They want to try to help. But is there anything that's an immediate red flag? Like for whatever reason, we appreciate you coming in, but we can't have you be an official part of the team.
So, I think the biggest issue is you have to be liked by the people around you. I mean, hard to say, I suppose, but if you're not liked by the people around you, it's hard for you to be a peer support officer. So we definitely, that is one thing that we personally do is we check and say, as long as, listen, not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay, but you need to be able to get along with your friends. Play well in the sandbox. If you can't play well in the sandbox, then maybe we can set you up with some resources and get you in that sandbox, working well with others and get you on our team, I think that would be the only, if we're being blunt and honest here, that would be the biggest issue. I need to know that you are approachable, that your heart's in the right place, and that people come to you to begin with, that you aren't the person making fun of other people's mental health and well-being. That's not a joke. That's not what I need on this team.
Right, because your work history, your prior interactions with your co-workers are going to lead to whatever your reputation is. And if you don't have that trustworthy reputation to begin with, you're going to be ineffective.
And so it makes sense. And you ruin, we are trying so hard to build this team of people who respect others' privacy, who help other people without the attaboy pat on the back. I need to know that bringing you onto this team, you are going to be an asset to our team and not start a reputation that's going to damage us either. We need people to understand that we are a safe place to come to And then we're going to support everybody the best we can without anybody's business being aired out. That's between you and yourself and whoever's helping you, and nobody else's.
Right. So that's exactly what I was trying to get at too, like the gossiping, right? Our peer support officers don't gossip. They're not out there airing people's dirty laundry out there to everybody else in the department. They understand that people are coming to them in a difficult time, and they're going to keep it to themselves. They're going to talk to the member who needs the help, and they're not going to be out there gossiping. They're going to maintain that level of privacy.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the biggest points I want to drive home, because in the past, I've heard speculation of, oh, cops talk, cops gossip. No specific incidents, never a specific incident, just the speculation that cops gossip, cops talk. I don't know if I trust guys with my secrets. So I'm glad you brought up the privacy, and that, if somebody has that reputation of being a gossiper, maybe that's not the best committee for them to be a part of.
Yeah, there's places for everybody, but
Right.
the peer team is not a place for somebody who's got that sort of issue. You need to be able to help people and keep it to yourself. We don't do this to say, great job, guys. Guess what I did today? That's nobody's business. I do this because I want your life to be better today after speaking to me than it was yesterday prior to our interaction. And that's just between you and me, nobody else.
Right. It's for the cause, not the applause. Right. We just heard that phrase.
That's from Jordan Ziegler, right?
Yeah. We just did an episode with Ronald McDonald House Charities.
Yeah.
And, I said, the Ronald McDonald House Charities is a great cause, right? It's a great group that do a lot of good with the community. And Jordan said, I had mentioned that I didn't know much about it prior to this last year. And Jordan said, well, we have a lot of good people there working for the cause, not the applause. Yeah. I thought that was a great line.
So, it is. It's excellent.
Right. And that definitely applies to the peer team as well.
Yeah.
We appreciate all the work you guys do. Thank you for coming on today and explaining to our guests, to our members and watchers, viewers, that what you guys do and how important it is to our members. So thank you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. We appreciate it.
Tanner here from On Patrol with the Suffolk PBA. Just a reminder to all our viewers to like, subscribe, follow, and share our content across all platforms.